Alright. For this problem, we already talked about this in the beginning of the semester. Again, I want to make sure if we talked about this one at all.
The new one, you haven't talked about it.
Alright, but we did talk about in the beginning of the semester. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, alright. So, when we talked about this, when we tried to solve this problem in the beginning of the semester, it was a harder one. We solved it in a harder way. Okay. However, this problem, you can solve it in an easier way if you know how to use a loop. Okay. Use the repetition structure, or what we call a loop. Alright. So how do we do that? We are going to do it through two functions. Alright. What are the two functions that we are talking about? The first one is iter, and the second one is next. These are the two functions that we are going to talk about, and I'm going to show you what we are going to do. In the Python shell, alright? For instance, when we have, let's start it over again. Multiple statements found while compiling a single statement. This is so awkward. I should mark this only. Alright. Run Python shell. Alright. When we have this statement right here, and we are going to use this input. Oops. Alright, and when we hit enter, there will be four strings inside a list. S is a list consisting of 4 integers. And the first one is John, the second one is Mary, Jacob, David, and this time we are going to get the information out of this list one by one. Alright? And how are we going to do it? First, I would like to have a variable to hold a iterator. Alright. So this IT is only a name that we hold a iterator. You can use whatever name you come up with, but the reason that I use IT is the content of the variable will be a iterator. Alright, what is an iterator? An iterator is something that you use to iterator through a list or some iterable. Alright, so a list is a iterable. So you put the iterable inside of the iter function, and then it will give you a iterator toward this S list. Okay, and nothing happens. You don't see what is going on inside. You don't see anything going on. However, this iterator, you can imagine is something like a pointer. All right. This iterator will remember what is the next string, what is the next element it is going to give you. Alright? So, how are we going to get the next element? Through that next statement. Through that next statement. So next iterator, what does that mean? Iterator will try to remember what's the next thing that it is going to put out, which is John. So when you say next it, then it will give you John. However, for the same thing, exactly the same instruction, next time when you execute it, it will give you Mary. Because after John, after we got the John out, then iterator will remember Mary, which is the next thing to get out. So when you use this next it will give you Mary. And next time, if you have again, you execute this function next iterator, then it will give you this Jacob. I'm sorry, what I'm doing. It will give you this Jacob. Alright, is there any question? Alright, so here, when we do it the fourth time, it will give you the last name of David. Alright? You might be wondering what is going to happen if I do it again. If I call this next function over it again, what is going to happen? Because we already got every name out of this list. Every single one of them every single one of them has been taken out. There's nothing inside anymore. Alright? So if you do this again, next from over iterator, then it will give you an error message. Told you the iteration has been stopped. So this is the stop iteration. Alright? But we don't want this error to happen when you are executing a program. This is not good. We don't want to see this. So there's another way that you can specify what will give you when you reach the end of the list. Next, it's 0. Alright, for this second parameter, it will tell you if there's nothing left from this iterator, then it will give you 0 instead of an arrow. Alright? So when I hit enter, it will give you 0 like this. Alright? You can specify what will you get when you reach to the end of the list. Alright, reach the end of the list. Alright, let's use these two functions. Do you see the behavior of these two functions? We need to get an iterator out of S first and save it in it. And then we call this next it over and over again, and then we will get all the names out one by one. Alright? So now we are coming back to this program. No, not this one. Or we might be saving as iterator one. Okay. Maybe iterator one. Alright. So this time we are going to have an iterator over S. And we want to get the next name. Okay. While n is not 0, when are you going to get this 0? When are you going to get n 0? Get a 0 as your return value from next. Only when you have reached. Only when you have reached the end of the list. So when you reach the end of the list, this will be 0, and then it will return false, and this while loop will be stopped. So if it's not the end of the list, then we will try to print out a greeting first and a comma and a space. Then we will greet n. See, we will get a name. Get the names one by one. We will get the first name. Actually, we will get the first name. If it's not 0, we will greet this person by printing the greeting and also a comma and a space before n. Then we finish this greeting. So, however, before we come back to while to do this again, we need to get the next name by having this next iterator like this. Oh, sorry, n is equal to. These two lines are identical. They are the same, exactly the same. But we need to put it twice right there. There is a workaround by using a Walrus operator, but we don't have time to talk about it. Just remember that you need to have both of this. Once before we enter the while loop, and once every time when we finish the greeting a name, and we need to get the next name before we come back to while to check if it's the end of the list. If you reach to the end of the list, then it will be the end of the program. Alright, it will be the end of the program, and you can try to run it. It will give you exactly the same results. Let me do this 2 lines. See? Hello, John. We get the first name, then we will produce hello, John, and get the next name, Mary, and then we'll put hello, comma, before Mary. Hello, Mary, and then hello, Jacob, and hello, David, until the end of the list. Alright? However, this is a bit harder for you to understand. So I'm going to show you another way. You don't really have to remember these 2 functions, either and next. No, you don't. You don't need to remember this, because I'm going to show you another way of doing this, which is easier. And what are we going to do? Save as hello everyone. Let me overwrite this one. Okay, then control. I'm going to put this one up for comparison, okay? Because we already finished this. You will see these 2 files are identical at this moment. Okay, these 2 files are identical at this moment. They are exactly the same. And so I'm going to change this one. Alright, remember, you have to remember these 2 variables. First is this s, and the second is this n. Both of this s and this n are variable names. You don't really have to use exactly the same variable names. You can come up with your own, but they will work the same. Alright? So this is what we are going to do. Look. For every n in S, we'll do the following. Okay? Sometimes I will read this column as following. Alright? For every n in S. That means it will assign each of the items inside S in N each time. For each item in S assigned to N, it will run this part again, over and over again. And okay, so this line right here, for N in S column, will replace these 2 lines, these 3 lines, and also this one, and also this line. It will replace these 4 lines. So if we use these 4 names, then S will be these 4 names. And the first name of S, which is John, will be assigned to N, and then we will run this. You will put out this greeting and comma before N. And then it will assign this Mary to N and run this one more time to print out splitting and comma, then N. Okay? Is there any question? Until you reach to the end of the list. And it will, after you have greeted every single one from the list, then the program will exit. It will terminate successfully. Alright? Is there any question? So these two work exactly the same way. I will still show you these two programs. That's why I told you that you don't really have to remember this either and next, because this is much easier. For N in S, it will take every element, every items from S and assign it in N, assign it to N one by one, and run this part of the code, this segment of this code segments over and over again with this N assigned different names. Okay? Is there any question?
No.
Alright. If there is no any question, then I would like you to compare it with the original. So these two, both of these two codes has 4 lines, but but you will see that the one on the left is actually more intuitive, which is easier for people to think of, easier for people to come up with answer like this instead of the one on the right. This is a bit hard. Alright? This is a bit hard for people to think of this solution. But the one on the left is quite intuitive and naturally solution. Okay? Do you see that? Do you know how to use this 4 right now? Remember, there are 2 variables. This N is a variable name. You can use your own name of the variable. Something like you can put the whole word name here. It will work the same. It will work the same. So don't. And also, this variable represents the list that we get from the inputs by splitting it and save it in S. Now we will have this S in this for loop and take the elements out of this S and assign it to name each time. Alright? Any question? If you don't have any question, then we'll keep on doing the, because this is the last time I want to teach you as much as possible. We want to work on as many problems as possible, alright? So this is the eater. And then this time we will work on this one then. Breaking else. We'll skip these ones. Because of the timing, we'll skip those ones and work on this one. I don't say swear words. Also, again, we worked on this one before, alright? But what do we do about this one when we did it earlier? This was the answer. This was the answer to it. And this one is a bit hard for you to understand. We have this list with only one string inside, and then times by n, and you will be given a list with n strings, and then we expand this list for the prints to print out and have the new line character as the separator. So you will have n, I don't say swear words on the screen, and you will have this new line after each time I don't say swear words is printed on the screen. Alright, so this is the answer that we got last time. Again, I'm going to do it in a new way. Alright? This time I'm going to do something like this. For I in 0 times n. And then print. That scared me.
What's that sound?
You were scared too? Huh.
Teacher, what's that sound?
Because there's a construction in my computer lab, and I'm at the upstairs of the computer lab. I can still hear. We can still hear this noise from the.
Okay, I see.
Oh no, we can't use this single quotes because there's a single quotes inside of the string, so we need to use the double quotes then. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so by doing this, we will have n zeros inside one list. Do you remember that? We will have n zeros inside one list, and with this one list, we will take 1 0 and assign it to n each time, and then we will print out this one. Since we have n zeros, and then we will do this assignment n times, and then we will print out this line n times. Do you know what I'm talking about here? Alright, so isn't this one easier way of solving this problem? But let's see next problem. The next problem I don't say swear words. The second episode. Last time, Vincent was punished for saying foul words, for using profanity by the teacher. That he had to write "I don't say swear words" on the blackboard 50 times. But he only wrote 45 times and went out to play, thinking that the teacher wouldn't find out. But so this time the teacher was asking him that he has to put on a sequential number before each time he writes "I don't say swear words" like this. If he is punished to write three lines of "I don't say swear words," the first time it has to have a 1 in front of it. The second time it has to have 2 in front of it. And the last time it has to have 3 in front of it, etc. If the teacher asks Vincent to write 10 times, it has to have 1, 2, 3, etc. until 10 in front of it. So, how are we going to solve this problem? Can we do this? We put out an I and also a comma and space. This time, we don't want to see the extra space, so we set the separator to an empty string. Okay, and then we're going to for instance, if I input 3, the program will give out 3 times of "I don't say swear words." However, it's giving you 3 zeros in front of it. Why is that? That's an easy question, right? Because this is what we have. We have n zeros inside the list. So each time I will receive a 0. So every single time it will put out a 0. Alright? But this time, this is what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3. So the first time, it will take out 1 and put it in I. The second time, it will take out 2 and put it in I. The third time, it will take out this 3 and put it in I. Then we will have different values for I each time when we print out "I don't say swear words." When you try to execute this code, and this is what you will see. When I have 3, you will see 1, "I don't say swear words." 2, "I don't say swear words." 3, "I don't say swear words." Is this a good answer? Will this give you 100? You guys are quiet. Apparently not.
Okay, I'm still trying to figure out. So we need to put a separate. Oh, I got it now.
Because what would happen if I put 5? It will still only have 3. Why it is printing out only 3 while we put 5 right here? Because we have 3 right here. Do you see that? So this is not working. So what do we do now? Okay, how about this? Can I have 5? But this time it won't work for 3, right? It's not going to work for 3. Can we have a slice of this? Can we have a slice of this list? Yes, we can. We slice it. We slice the first n elements out of this list. Okay, we sliced n elements out of this list. Then this time it will be working like this. If you have 3, then that's 1, 2, 3. Alright? If you have 5, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is this code good enough? Is this good enough?
I don't know.
No, it's not good enough. Why isn't it good enough? This program will work only for n is equal or less than 5. Only when n is equal to or smaller than 5. For instance, if I put 10, you will still see only 5. I don't say so words. So what do we do? Can I do this? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can we do this? So that you can print out up to 10 lines of I don't say so words. Can we do that? What about 1,000? If the teacher is really mad about Vincent and telling Vincent that you need to write 1,000 times I don't say 3 words on the blackboard. The teacher is really mad when you guys don't answer questions, or you guys are sleeping in the class and the teacher is really mad. Alright. So what if n is 1,000? Shall we put 1,000 numbers in this list? It will take a long time, right? And this line will be very long, right? Is there a better way of doing this? Is there a better way of doing this? Yes, of course. This is the time that I'm going to introduce a function, a built-in function, which is one of the 69 built-in functions. It is called range. So this one will give you a continuous list of integers from 1 to n. You don't have to specify all the numbers from 1 to n. By using this function, it will return a range from 1 to n. Alright? Like this. Run module. Then I will put 10 again. But this time, you only have the number up to 9 instead of 10. That's because range works the same way as the slices. When you specify a range from 1 to n, it will include the lower bound of 1, but its it doesn't include the upper bound of n. So when you have this range 1 to n, you will receive only from 1 to n minus 1. Only from 1 to n minus 1. If you really want this n, then you need to specify n plus 1 as your upper bound. So it's not going to give you n plus 1. The last number in range 1 to n plus 1 is n only. Alright? So this time we run it again. This time we'll put a 10 right here. You'll see 10 of them. You can put like even more, like 20 of them. You will see 20 of them. You don't need to specify every number between 1 and 20 right here. No, you don't have to. Alright? Is there a question about this? Is there any question about this range function? And this is actually the answer to this problem. However, I'm coming back. This is already the answer of this problem. However, I'm coming back to this one. For this hello everyone, can we do the same thing? Can we use the range instead of the no, not this one. Oh, maybe I didn't save it. Untitled. No. No, I didn't save it. Okay. If that's the case, let's start with the new one then. Do you still remember that how we work on this one? No, not this one. Not this one, I'm sorry. Hello everyone? Oh, this one, I'm sorry, I was on this one. How do we solve this one? Do you remember? We have n is equal to n's inputs. Then we have this for I in 0 times n and print. I don't say so words. Okay, do you still remember that's in the beginning of the class that I gave you this answer? Do you remember? Now I'm going to give you another answer. Instead of we have a list of n zeros, I will have a range from 1 to n plus 1. And I was scared again. I'm so sorry about that. N plus 1. From 1 to n plus 1. And this time this will also give you n I don't say so words. Can you see that? Because this is only there's only a very minor difference between the second episode. Do you see that? This is for the second. I saved it with the wrong file name. This is for the second episode. Alright? The only difference is that this one will have the number in front of I don't say so words, and this one doesn't have the number in front of I don't say so words, but we use the same for loop. We use the same for loop. Do you see that? Is there any question? And if not, let's go back to this one right here. I don't say so without the number in front of it. Okay. However, since we don't need this I right here, it doesn't really matter what the value of I is. So you can start with 1 and end with n plus 1. You can also use 0 and end with n. It will still give you 10 numbers from 0 to n minus 1 instead. It will from 0 to n minus 1. You like when we try to run it, if I have like 7 of them, you will see 7 of them. It works the same thing, alright? 7 without any errors on it, alright? Okay. So, but if the starting number is 0, you can actually drop it. You can actually take it out and leave only n inside the parentheses as parameters. Alright? Only one n, only one number. That means the number will start with 0 until n minus 1. And this will still, this line of code will still be executed for n times. Do you see that? So this code will actually be shorter and easier, alright? Also, since I is not the name of this variable is not important at all because we don't use it. It doesn't make any difference if I use J instead, if I use K instead, or even if I use Z instead. It doesn't really matter at all because it is not used inside of this for loop. In this case, there's a tradition. It's only a tradition. It's not a regulation. It's not something that you have to do. It's something that people are used to do, which is when a name of the variable is not really important, but we do need a variable here between this for and in. Between this for and this in, we have to have a variable between these two words, but it doesn't really matter what the name is. And then we will simply use a underscore as the name of the variable, like that. Okay, so in this case we will have this for underscore in range n, which simply means the following code segments will be executed n times. Alright, is there any question? If not, so what would be the difference between these two? Why do I want to use range n instead of the 0 times n? This one is actually longer. And also we need to memorize a vocabulary. We need to memorize one more English word, which is range. Alright? If you misspell this word, and then the code won't run. Alright? But this one, you don't need to remember any English word. And for Taiwanese students might be thinking that this one is actually better than this one. Then I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to show you the difference of it, alright? Which is, let's go back to the one right here. And you see, alright, if I will use a bigger number, like maybe for like 10,000, if I have an S, which is a list with 10,000 zeros inside, and I'm going to have a T which is a range with 10,000 integers inside. Alright, both S and T has 10,000 numbers inside. However, S will take 80,056 bytes of memory. They will take a lot of the memories. For range, for T, which is a range, it would take only 48 bytes. So it is more memory efficient. It doesn't take as much memory as a list does. So that's the advantage that range has over a list. Do you see the difference? Alright, so I would like you to memorize this. For underscore in range n, that means the following code segments will be repeated n times. Is there any question? If not, and then we'll take a break for 10 minutes.
Teacher, I cannot get the answer through the this 程式 on the screen now, the right one.
The one on the right?
Yeah, I cannot get the answer.
You don't really understand what is going on right here?
Yeah, a little.
Uh-huh. Alright. Like, let's do this.
So, teacher, can I ask one thing? Is that every 程式 on the screen is the right correct answer? Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, but none of them can let me get the right answer. I've tried each, but
alright. Let me try to execute this one. But remember, we are talking about a previous problem. Don't submit it to a wrong problem. This is for D498. I don't say short words. Don't submit this code to B970. I don't say short words. The second
Okay,
episode.
I went to the B 970.
Okay. That's because you went to the wrong one. Alright? So I came back after I finished this one. For this one, you need to use which one? Which code? For this one, you need to use this one.
Okay.
You have for this one, for this problem, B970.
Okay. I got it.
You need to print out the number before I don't say so words. So you need to have this I, and also this comma and space, and also the set as an empty string.
Yeah, by using this formula. Okay.
So
okay.
This is the answer to this one. All right. However, this one on the right. This one on the right is the answer to not this problem, not this B970. It's the answer to T498, which doesn't really require to have a number in front of each I don't say so words.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, I got it.
Okay. So for this one right here, like for range n, let's see. Alright. If you type 5, you will have 5. But what is inside this range n? Okay. If you have this 0 times, if s is equal to 0 times 5, then s will be a list with 5 zeros. Each time that variable will be assigned with 1 0. The first time will be this 0, the second time will be this 0, like that. But for a range, for range 5, then it is actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have 5 numbers. Alright? This times 5 and also range 5, they all have 5 numbers inside, but with different numbers. But using range will save you some memories. It is more memory efficient and it takes much less memory than a list is. But you won't be able to see the contents of the range. Like if I say range 5, and it will show you range from 0 to 5. It's not going to show you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, unless I put it inside a list. And then if you put it inside a list, then you will have all the numbers between 0 and 4. Alright? So either one of this will work. Any question? Both?
No.
Okay, these two will work the same, but range is more memory efficient. Alright, if you don't have any other question, then we'll take a break for 10 minutes then.